They are here, they get the education, and the way we handle them matter. Because when they leave this university without being prepared to be friends of this university, they go back and our alumni for convocation, for endowment fund. So we find somebody who has got a lot of money there, who would be contributing to the endowment fund, but because of the bad experience he has gone through Makerere, he said, I will not associate. So I was at Reading University where staff, whether a cleaner, a manager, a lecturer, they are taught, it's training, that the student is their boss. Client relationship. So to me, I think this is where we will have to begin with, especially the AR department, which is the entry point of these students and exit point of these students. It must be attractive. We must have people who smile in that department to welcome the students, to make students comfortable. Ensuring effective and efficient administration process contracts, which are going to be used for appraisal. Students to teach graduate students. Then the others, because they are outside. And in the end, these other people who are really committed to the university service, they become. I think we need to strike a balance so that not giving the commensurate input they are warned. Conduct induction training. Okay, thank you. Conduct induction training to new staff at all levels, costs. Where we are heading as a university, we need to innovate some approach, some mechanism to stop the direction we are taking of litigation. Otherwise, we will be overwhelmed. Legal directorate, whether in the legal directorate or in the human resource directorate, but as an a most progressive strategic plan, Makerere University Strategic Plan 2020-2030, emphasizing research-led university, and I'm coming in to log in because that strategic plan has got 4 making Makerere University a research-led, teaching and learning, which is online, is enhance partnerships with the government, industry, development partners, and other universities, and then with inclusiveness and with gender equity and other equitable solutions. So to me, I cannot come and say I'm going to do different from that. I'll make sure that Makerere University is research-led, but is emphasizing, because we are different from national research organizations. Our strength is, okay, students, graduate students. So my approach will be to strengthen the Directorate of Research and Graduate Training, a strong unit, and there will be also units at the colleges. Because you go to the colleges, there is like you find that the office as assistant registrars, but it's for graduate training. And these people from AR's office, it's like they are only undergraduate students. Okay, sometimes they do it, the undergraduate, but it's not their concern. So there is a need to have, and I will make an office of graduate training at all those colleges. Like I said, also strengthen the industrial linkage, because we are training for the industry, and the industry should have an input in, because sometimes we churn out students or the employees, the graduates, and you find that they are complaining, these people, they should have an input. And I will make sure there's a platform for this industry. As they complain, let them have an input. I promise to promote intellectual prowess through rethinking and academic freedom, and it's the IPR office, which is going to motivate people, pensions.
1 minute.
Yeah, I'm finished. For them to register, because this thing of generating an intellectual property, it is there, it's not taken up and it's not recognized, or somebody comes and steals it, it's not good. So I will have to have that. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you so much for giving me your attention.
Yes, thank you. According Professor Anthony Mugisha, audience and questions, we will take on feedback that is coming in from the technical team that Makerere Dicts has also been with the chat on Zoom. We will have the funds from this side and also 3 questions from the other. May I, Marion, the app? Ensure they have the microphone. Strictly 3 questions. You mention only your name for recording. Your name? Marion. Marion, you look at me and then start from me. At least we have
the institutional is, what do you envisage as going to be to address them?
So much. My name is Tony Oyan. In your presentation and approach to
the 3rd question from this side, then we will take on.
Thank you very much, Chair. You plan to do. How different are you going to perform your duties from what has been happening? I would love to hear what has been happening. I am going to do this different. Could you summarize for us how different you will steer the board? Thank you very much.
Welfare, academic related challenges, and social challenges. For example, the prominent sexual harassment of the girl child. I do not know. Most times this has brought in a lot of, because especially the Office of the Finance, DVCF&A, probably has done little. So how different are you going to blend in the inclusion of?
None. Oh, there's a final question.
Thank you, Professor, for your presentation. You talked about you are looking at ensuring expenditure controls, and I'm wondering, I thought that expenditure is based on budgets and all units budget. So how do you intend to do it? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Prof, kindly take your seat, because I would also like you to note these questions. Members, I indicated that we requested the honoring in Prof from Dr. Pademusana, College of Humanities and Social Sciences, Makerere University, C, as having not been done well, that you would like to solve, stroke resolve, for the good of Makerere. That is from Dr. Pademusana. What is it that you see as having not been done well? We have another question coming in from Dr. Maureen Nanzidi Mayanja, Resources and Biosecurity. The question is, Can you please describe how in colleges and the center, can you please describe how you will eliminate duplication of activities? So a question coming in from Professor Elizabeth. Professor Elizabeth, can you talk about how you plan to enhance the operation of centers of excellence in various colleges where a lot of research is being done? And this is the final, thank you, the final question from Lazarus Navajo. This is coming in from the chat platform via our Zoom. Lazarus Navajo, to you, Professor Mugisha. How exactly will you ensure promotion within 3 months, especially staff? How will you prevent the deferring of promotions by a year and wages? Let me just repeat that question for emphasis. It's from Lazarus Navajo, coming in through the chat Zoom. How exactly, when it is for the academic and non-administrative staff, ahead when there is no money to meet the salaries, stroke wages? And finally, but you'll help me with, because you didn't indicate your name, to rescue Makerere property that has been exploited, and what do you intend to do to preserve Makerere University land and property? We need your name, sir, because this is being recorded physically, but also there's a sanitized microphone. I wouldn't want a scenario where people think I created maybe a question. Kindly.
Thank you very much. I'm called Captain Retired Vincent Vitature, and I associate myself with this university. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those are the questions coming in. We will not have any, and we've also had there enough. So we are requesting you 15. The Senate Search Committee has guided me based on
Sarah Sari, Council, she's concerned about administrative challenges and what I will have to do about it within 100 days. In this university, there are systems and structures in place. Mine is to come to add value and to work with everybody, not challenge anybody. I know everyone from council to management to staff they have goodwill for this university. Everybody has got a heart for this university. My experience and skills in team building, teamwork, dialogue, and engagement. Professor Tony Oyana his question, okay, the principle of courses, integrating the strategic plan in my presentation. Like I highlighted briefly, has 4 goals. And all what I've been talking about is about the strategic plan of this university. Research, being research-led university, we are not, I don't envisage ourselves to be a research institution like NARO or National Research Organization. Ours is research and innovation through innovative learning and teaching. So, because also we have National Council for Science and We have Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation. They have their approach. Professor Amara, the Deputy Director of Research, he asked, how different are you going to do things? Good that you are the Deputy Director in charge of, you know what innovation is. Innovation is not necessarily bringing a new technology. So I don't promise that I'll come and overhaul the systems. Mine is an accountability, transparency. So I'm not going to come to totally overthrow the system. No, it is to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the system. I didn't get his name very well, but he was asking about inclusion of students in my strategy. Because of the limited time, I could not talk so much on everything, but I made it clear that my approach is to make students our bosses. The client or the customer is the boss. I would like to change the attitude of looking at students as a burden, but as strategic partners. University, and I'm very happy the Vice Chancellor has been so clear on that, and I'll come to give support for that. Make sure there's zero tolerance for sexual harassment. The Chief Professor of Librarianship, she asks, depend on budget. How do I intend to do it? Definitely, it will depend, it will start with the budget. The budget must contain items where is Professor or Dr. Pade Musana? What is you see that has not been done well that you want to resolve? I'm not here to bring accusations to so and so. To mine, I'm coming to add value. And I have made it clear in my presentation where I am going to work closely with every stakeholder of this university, working as a bridge. What is lacking in this university? Utilization of resources. And that's what I intend to do different. Dr. Mayanja Maureen, can you describe how you will describe the duplication? It's true, some documents, if we are to start claiming our tasks and say, this is what I'm supposed to do, the issue is we must work as a team. Right away from departments to the highest unit to make sure that we achieve the goals and outputs of the university. Professor Sabiti, I intend to allow or to promote academic, intellectual freedom. People in colleges, to encourage them, to facilitate them, to train them. Enterprise planning, resource system. I should be able to monitor what is happening when he was considered in the 3 months. Captain Vincent Bitatule, what do you intend to do to rescue Makerere University property and land? I know that is very emotive. There are some have come around that I intend to work with the units in the university, the university secretary, the vice chancellor, make sure, and even the government. One time I was discussing with a high-profile person in this country, that you know how people are trying to grab this land. So mine, I cannot say that I'll come with the iron and what, but it is to engage, study which land is being grabbed, and engage the proper avenues to rescue this land. And for sure, this.
Thank you very much. I've been guided by the Senate Search Committee. We'll take on questions. I already have a question here coming from Dr. S.G. Okech, Culinary Medicine and Animal Resources. What's your comment on the disparity in salaries between pro and the motivate staff? SG College of Veterinary Medicine, and what's your comment on the disparity in salaries between professors and the lower rank? Doesn't this demotivate? Only two more questions from here. One question, if any. Okay, do we have a question from this side? Okay, Marion, you mention your name and one question. It first.
I'm Edward Mwavu, person of Mwasa. I think you have diagnosed the problems of Makerere University.
Hello? Let's have a question from this other side. Let him answer. Professor Anthony Mugisha, you're welcome. Please answer.
Very pertinent question which I've been hearing, and being on Mwasa fraternity, it has been debated extensively, the issue of pro rata. When we were waiting we went as a block, as university staff. And when it came to enhancement, we were first on, there were some questions which I don't understand. In my view, and I've made it clear in discussions with my colleagues, if I had a way, I would have of enhancement. I've made it clear. But the ones who have insisted that professors and associate professors, they get enhancement first, and the rest will also be enhanced. They were in places of discussion where I was not. Pro rata must be realized. Thank you. And I think that's all. The one for Professor Mwavu, I didn't get it clearly.
Thank you very much, Professor Anthony Mugisha, for sharing with us your vision and mission. We wish you the best of luck. And we are now going to, okay, thank you very much. The audience wishes you the best of luck. And at this time, we are going to request the academic registrar, Mr. Namoa, to take you to the next destination. Thank you. Distancing rules, and also ensure that your face masks are on. When it, as per our program, is Professor William Bazeo. The next candidate is supposed to come in at 10:30. So that means we should all be ready for the next candidate as an audience at 10:20, so that at 10:30 a.m., the next candidate who's in rules, ensure your masks are on, covering the mouth and nose, and then stretch a bit so that you listen to the presentation from Professor William Bazeyo when he comes in. Thank you very much. Dear participants, for the next session, I request you to take your seats. Yes, members, please get ready for the next candidate that your mobile phones are in the silent mode. We will also, please also ensure that you restrict your movements. We have an audio recording going on in the main hall, and we also have a recording going on Zoom. So we wouldn't want a situation where there are interruptions because of our movements. And also, this public presentation is operating procedures for the prevention of the spread of COVID-19. Ensure that you have sanitized and then keep your face masks on. That's covering the nose and mouth. And there is a ribbon, red and white. So the academic registrar, Mr. Alfred Masiche Namoa, has gone out to ensure that he brings our next candidate, that is Professor. Please welcome our next candidate, Professor William Bazeo, who is the academic registrar will ensure that you have sanitized for your safety. And so that the audience in the main hall, but also the audience that is following us on Zoom, were informed Professor William Bazeo that the Zoom recordings, the audio recordings, but also the William specific to the public presentation. We have the members of the Senate Search Committee, the chairperson and the members, the secretariat of council, principals, members of Senate, the chaplains, the university imam, members of the academic staff, members of administrative staff, support staff, and the student leadership of Makerere University. Professor Bazeo, I'm humbly requesting you to stand at the podium before, yes. You have, okay. Professor Bazeo, before you start your presentation, within only 5, because you're alone there, I'm going to humbly request you to remove your face mask so that if... Now, Professor William Bazeo, within 5 minutes, introduce yourself. Who is Professor William Bazeo? Within 5 minutes. Then thereafter, we'll 5 minutes.
I am William Mbazeyo, a professor of occupational medicine. You'll allow me to introduce myself by putting my biodata there so that you can read it. National University of Singapore, at the Atlantic International University in the US, and more recently, this year, honored with the honorary doctorate in the University of Tufts in Boston. I have held several leadership positions, head of department, deputy dean. Now, an acting is the difference is that when you see my first slide, I'm talking about the Century University. I'm not talking about for a position. Several awards, and one of them is from one of his men of you, which of the have and most that is a certificate. I am a farmer. I am here and I'm an academician, but I am a farmer, and I believe in agriculture. There are several things. I have published several papers, more than 15 referred journals, and I have written so many proposals. I don't want to stop.
Thank you very much, Professor William Mbazeyo. With guidance from the Senate Search Committee, Finance and Administration, you'll use 30 minutes for your presentation. But during the 30 minutes, Alfred Masiche Namoa will alert you when you have 10 minutes left. Also, he'll give another alert. Thereafter, we will be ready for the question to come in from the audience that is in the main hall. We also have questions that are coming in through the email we project, and we also have questions coming in live from Zoom. We now humbly invite you to start your 30 minutes presentation.
Thank you very much. I want to talk about this first slide. The purpose, and I want to come you and my purpose is different. Because if I came here and I said I am presenting so that I get a position of DVC, F&A, I'd be telling a lie. I have been in this position for 3 years. I should have been able in 3 years to identify what are the challenges. My presentation is actually an accountability of the 3 years that I have been in office, and then seek your mandate to continue if you think what I've done is worth, or to advise me whether we are looking at a university which is making 100 years in 2 years' time. We cannot be thinking of Makerere that has been there in 100 years for a better university. What is it that makes a good university? Many times we mislead ourselves and say, graduating, no, that is not the university. Because when you look at Johns Hopkins, Harvard, UCT, they do not publish that they are very good because they graduate so many, because they even graduate more than us. We must go beyond that. What is it that makes Makerere a very good university, the best university, and we say the best Black university? Those are the things that I'll come and present to you. So, I can see that. So, what am I bringing among many things? And feel free to find that one or two of them are not true. Team leadership and management skills for resource mobilization and negotiation. I have told you before, and I will say it again, I always negotiate until I get a yes. If it is not yes, I don't leave the table. And never leave the room when you what they want when they negotiate. 20 years of university leadership and regional and international network leadership. I started OSHARE, One Health in Central, and 18 universities. I started RUN, Resilient Africa Network. It has 20 universities in 16 countries. CTCA, Center for Tobacco Control, we have supported more than 12 countries. Skills, they are not challengeable. I have been when we are 98 years. Nobody has ever brought nearly nothing to a world-class school of public health. In this position, I've been able to sign and negotiate MOUs to build capacity in looking at oil and gas and from SEDET. I have been to Turkey, where we have now got our people recently admitted to study planning. I hear people talk about strategic planning. I have led Makerere University to develop the strategic plan of 2020-2030. So this is my baby. I cannot say that I don't know what is in this because I read it. And I have talked about them, I've talked about RUN. And most recently, only last week, VC, we won another 6 million for RUN. It was announced only last week, and my team must be happy. I have led OSHEA, which now, last year, me and Professor Kawasa, we won another 22.5. One gets grants to support control of tobacco. If you look around in Kampala, how many people smoke? Because we have been able to enact, developed by this center, which is in Makerere School of Public Health. I have won $34 million as a PR do around HIV. On Friday, we got our next award, which starts 1st October, and it is $30 million. So, before I tell you about the challenges, because there are very many challenges, and there are many solutions. But I'm going to run through the achievements so that we see whether the achievements we can build on to make a difference. This is the best achievement Makerere has got in the last 3 years. This building on Kampala Road, it has been, Ontarians have complained, the VC has written, but the best thing that the Minister of Finance knows and says is that universities, if you go to Boston, you find buildings of Harvard. You go you find buildings in New York, you find buildings of universities. This building, what does it come with? The letter or the explanation from the VC fell short to tell you that the building is in the names of Makerere University. It is owned by Makerere. The cabinet will issue a statement. It led to show you that why did we negotiate? Why did I negotiate for this building? Several people come to my office. They want to start an FM radio. They want to have a TV. 1991, National University of Singapore had the first FM radio in Singapore. It made money. It is still there. When you see these people they make money. The university will make money. We will establish our FM radio there. We will have our TV station there, and it will be called Makerere University TV. Makerere, we will make resources. I've taken mine. These executive courses, we shall run them there. You imagine, Makerere University has no executive course. Money, trained, and moreover, the people who are trained here. Sales, talk about them later. Where do we show them to the public? Where do people access them? Our souvenirs, we can put them there as our center. We have so many people go and see our innovations. Short courses, we shall run them there. Ladies and gentlemen, if I were you, I would thank the leadership of Professor for having accepted to have this building. The other achievements I ran through, and they are very common. We have had $1 billion. I negotiated, got this money. There was a shortfall in 2017-2018, 4.5 billion. I got it, and we paid people. I negotiated in 40 days, and it is here. All this place, it was valued at 7 million per year for 5 days, 35 million. I said no million per year. We have lights all over the square, dustbins, and billboards. You imagine the whole of Makerere putting a string of cross at the main gate. There is a conference. Maiza and one on the other side. And we shall advertise. And then we had the in-house retirees areas, 9.8 billion. All these were cases going to court. Makerere University was always in papers with moves. I resolved these wrangles by sitting people together and we look at the books. You must understand, yes, has never got money from government for research. We got last year 30 billion. Now this year we have got 30 billion. COVID we had 9.3 billion. All this I negotiated. Most recently, we had a wage deficit where many of our staff were promoted. They didn't have their money. They were not given their promotion money. Others were appointed. So we're coming to the end of the year and I negotiated 14.8 billion. We paid every, has not paid me my wage. It has never happened. This one, the VC can attest. The university accounting office is there. Now, as we speak, this is 10 o'clock. MABS is in court. 24. I led a team with the VC and the university secretary docket. I led, negotiated, and the team in the Ministry of Finance said, Makerere University, we shall give you 24 billion, you pay MABS and forget about debts. Today, and those of you, whenever I say things, you say no written document. There is a written document inviting MABS to tell them you'll be paid on this date, this date, this date. Don't decide. It's not that we don't like them. It's because it will help us, as I will show you, because they're waiting for their pay. Now, I want to give you good news. We have been negotiating. Now we have on record. And this letter is available. Those of you who want to challenge. Exim Bank Korea had for the following. The Science and Technology Innovation Hub, which we have talked about. Professor Nawango talked about. We are waiting for COVID to sign and they start building. Secondly, halls for students. We have 35 students hostels. We have a student center of students. We have talked about it. We have now got the money. Utility infrastructure, estates director, all these pipes that are rotten and so on. People are talking about harvesting water. You harvest water through roofs that are not there, and we will complete our wall. The last one, the next one is my colleagues in health. The hospital has now got funding. University Hospital has got funding, has been approved by cabinet. We had several negotiations, have reform center and have the data management center. At the reserve government, we negotiated, they gave us 25 billion, but they have already started training and we got money. Let me talk about that very quickly. This money, when it came, to approximate 1,500 members of staff publications. We have money, I want to tell you. Makerere is now more known for what it did during the COVID. Because we came out, like John Hopkins came out and became the center for coordinating COVID in the US. Makerere University came out. We characterized the virus. We did the rapid test, the masks, and the other PPEs. When you had the president talking about masks, he was not telling lies. Because RAN, which I led to design them as they didn't follow them. Socioeconomic impact and the other tests. We are doing the plasma treatment test. Now, what are the strengths of reading? We have the highest number of professors in this country and maybe in the region. We have the highest number of PhDs in the region. Our student numbers are there. We have a brand name. And our research contributes 70 to 85% that are there. Council and these other committees, they're all there. We have the physical assets, land, infrastructure, the stadium, the facilities. But these ones, I will tell you, why are they not the challenges? When I came in, I've told you what I've done. Now I'm telling you what are the challenges. Limited government is darling, will no longer be the darling. The country has expanded, has now more than 10 universities. Why should they keep that on the center? Gentlemen, we need to make gentlemen 100 plus. Why is Makerere in court all the time? Who goes to court? The accounting officer has to be in more than 200. They have come to about 100 and something. When that goes work 5 days, he's in court. These cases must have a solution. And let me talk about them now that I'm on them. What types of cases do we have? We have the unavoidable, which one we must go. The second one, we have the avoidable, where we have no or lack or strength of internal conflict resolution, like the one in Maiza, like the others that you know. We need to strengthen that. The next one is the go to court. So, and some of the cases are very old. I was surprised to find that there is a court case that is 1984. So I have 10 minutes to go, but I'll be there. The other challenges that are there is lack of research. The council is looking at it. What will that grants policy do? It will create a unit that we lack appraisal. How do you reward somebody if you don't know how he is performing? We lack this welfare. Makerere University has no staff welfare, no medical, no transport, no accommodation, no feeding at camp. I don't know where. Administrative and the welfare, non-existent. These houses are too old. When I see people asking for them, how do you sleep there? The university has to do something. Inadequate development to cope with the trained. EMS comes, if miss comes, and then nothing happens. We have security problems, black spots. The student welfare is terrible. And I'm going to talk about it, even when I will skip the other. About the funding, the solutions, they could be financial. The long term, what are our long-term solutions? We have in our of UNICEF in School of Law, which will bring about $8 million every year. We need to deploy our non-academic units to do consultancies. Real estate, why should somebody do accountability? When I say financial accountability, when I came here, I found, and I was on the other side, participatory budgeting, so that you budget when all of you are there. And when you budget, you cannot say, I didn't know. The grants unit will cover all projects to be able to develop college grant units. It will identify donors and funders and provide them. It will link you to where to sit. Where do you sit? Administrative, collegiate system, I've talked about it. We need to have internal conflict resolution to stop going to court. We want to implement the performance, reward the best, whether it's a sweeper or what. Staff welfare, affordable housing. We need affordable houses, transport. You imagine you live in Katarima, you have a jam. We build jointly with partners affordable units so that people can live in them, because people will know that they are being paid, the joint people, because you are getting a salary. Two, we create a transport system. It is in other universities. A transport system to take your child. How do you go to say that? How do you go to other places? These ones must be done. Primary school, where do our children go? We have a school built here. Can we change it and build a school that... We have been working with IGP and his team, which is very good. And he has agreed to have patrols and help us establish a Makerere police like other universities. You imagine we have only less than 30 people that work as police. The other thing is we need to invest in virtual campuses, which UCT has, Harvard has, and others, so that we have as many. As we go to science-led, we must have other people that we train, because they don't have money. We should have scholarships. support these students to have scholarships. Give them canteens, but that's not enough. Student welfare, we need to address it. I told you about their houses, but that will not. Academic sources, reviewing the programs. I've seen people say, when you reduce it, we are not reducing the programs. Keep the programs with many students, but specialize within. So that you tabling, somebody does what he's supposed to do because he can find it. Short courses, Harvard has so many for summer and regional. Imagine if we had a train referral hospital in each referral hospital, how many nurses produce? The university is going to be there. We shall build them. Assets, naming. We need to know who are our donors, who gives us money regularly. Other sources, engaging other development partners. So that, yeah, I talked about it. And as I end, we must have it. Now that we've got the money, it is going to make it join us so that they're able to, and that's how it is going to look. It's no longer a dream. And those are the STIs that are available in the world, USA and in Africa. Now I was telling you, it is the next one is in these ones. I don't want to read them. These are to show you that our strategic plan is aligned to the national priorities and global agenda. As we prepare, this is my 400 years, to go to the next century, I present to you a manager with tested leadership skills, research grant making skills for small and large amounts, human resource capacity development, expert. I end with that slide. 1, intelligence. 2, energy. 3, integrity. Integrity is not only cash. Integrity in what you say, integrity in all manners. If they don't have the last one, don't even bother with the first.
Thank you very much, Professor Bazeyo. Kindly take your seat. It's now time for questions and answers. We have 20 minutes. Will come from the audience, the physical audience in the main hall. We have questions that have come in through the official email that we provided, that is pro@admin.mac.ac.ug. And we also have questions via Zoom chat. The ushers. We have Mario on this side, and we also have Prosi this side. We'll take on five. Okay, I've been guided by 5 questions because we also have a number of questions coming in from the other side. I've also been reminded that the question and answer session. So 5, but the person sanitizing the microphone, and a question here, then we proceed. Marion, please follow. You please say your name. Nice.
I hope you heard me. And I have one question for you. Normally people, assuming you have this position, what are the 3 significant issues you're going to focus on now? Thank you. Thank you again. Normally leaders are known for signature issues. You can't do too much. I am asking you, if you had 3 signature issues that you're going to focus on in your term, what are they? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Bazeyo. You've mentioned so many. What will your first 100 days look like should you get the position? We want to hold you accountable.
For the student, you mentioned name, course, and we also need to give the students a chance.
Thank you very much. My name is Maxon Muhwezi. I'm a student of political science, second year. Professor, I have had and we have seen a very, very interesting presentation. But as a student, I am scared in one way or the other that the development is not all round. It is not inclusive. I see students given almost 1 or 0 to the university. Kindly tell us how you're to go about it. Thank you.
Kindly, just a minute for the name, just help us repeat. It's a special request from the secretary.
All right. My name is Maxon Muhwezi.
Raise the hand.
Thank you, Professor Bazeyo, for the good presentation. I commend you on your statement about integrity. First, you have also presented a number of projects where you have been involved and what you wish us to do for us. But as a first class researcher, so what are the timelines for some of your proposals? Thank you.
One final question.
What are the
I was saying that some of your presentations as regards what you are going to do for the university, what are you going to do for the university in, say, 2 years? You have been in the university 2 years, or you need 10 years. Thank you.
Let's have the last question from that side there. His hand has been up. I think it was the first hand up. Yes. Those are the 5 questions. Name?
My name is Mugorora Samuel, an innovator. Thank you, Professor, for a very interesting presentation. He talks about integrity, and I liked it. These days we see Piato. We see Piato offering catering services to Makerere University. Don't you think it is killing our mighty Makerere Guest House? Or aren't you worried of conflict of interest? Since Piato, thank you.
Process, one of the ushers, Department of Academic Registry and DRGT.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Name?
My name is Sam
and one
Nisima.
question.
My name is Sam Nisima. I'm an alumnus of this great university. My question is, thank you so much, Mr. Professor, for such a wonderful presentation. And really, you've been a role model to me. But this is my question to you. Your PhD is from Atlantic International University. But information available says Atlantic University is not accredited. The PhD you have is from Atlantic International University. But the information available, it says that that university is not accredited. Don't you think that all those degrees are fake from that international university? And what do you say? What do you comment about that? Thank you so much.
Dear participants, you will recall that there is a time when I was guided by the Senate search session. There is a question that was cancelled. So also in that spirit, it's just a reminder. I'm requesting that the people asking questions, at some point I'll request the Senate Search Committee to scan through and see some of the questions, then we'll be guided. The same way we're guided when there's a question that was not clear or that didn't come out so well. So we already have one question. There is Professor Hikile there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm Josephine Aichire, Principal, College of Humanities and Social Sciences. Looking at the presentation, the finance part is very clear and has a very clear trajectory. But the administrative part, I think you need to elaborate a little bit the internal conflict resolution processes. What is it that you do differently, given that you've been in this office and in acting capacity for 3 years? What's this very important question? A challenge to Makerere, actually, because I know conflict resolution. Thank you.
Those are two questions. There is a hand, a lady there, behind, I think.
Thank you, Professor.
And one question.
The press. You talked about solving internal conflicts. You talked about resolving internal conflicts, but also by the university. Yet there are complaints from within the members of the university. Solving internal conflict, does that mean that the administration has suffocated the staff, or you're doing things differently?
Proceed. There's a hand here.
Thank you very much, Professor Vazeo, for your resounding presentation. And Rosie has
of money that Nick was saying they owe the president, and they came out with a figure. The figure was much lower than what Makerere, these lawyers, which include our own Professor Varia and our own legal department and our university secretary, they had a discussion, but they didn't agree. Nick said, we don't even have cash. We offer you a building. This letter was written before I came here, that they would offer a building that Makerere would offset. I want to take as much time, even if I don't have others, because this one I want people to understand. And if what I'm saying comes out to not be the same as what the minister and the cabinet says, I'm more than willing to step down if you give me the position. When they offered the building, Makerere University initially, not under the leadership of Sanawangwe, did not see sense to take the building. He wrote back, signed by the chair council, that they will not take the building because it was less than the money the government had paid the retirees. And you cannot say that I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Professor Nawangwe is a businessman. You cannot lead a university in the modern century, in the modern times, and you have no business mind. They are bringing the building for the money. Let us know the value at 8.9 billion. Money that the government had given was more than 16 billion. Since they had established 6 can take the building. This is on record. we agreed worth. Now, asking you money all the time. And with the minister, with the PSST, that's why Nick later on over the building. What the government made a loss for one reason, a political crisis. And I can tell you, but they pay the government. It was created Makerere, this current Sabazeyo, as some of you are alleged in the paper, his mind. And the explanations will go to cabinet and have a clarification. And I can tell you, business, it is a good deal, like it or not, it is. Dr. Kui, Professor Kui, you talked about promotions and promoted, who are to be promoted. They kept them shitted for the way. And now we are assured that we will be promoting people because that money, so there's no worry. Josephine and the other colleague who talked about can always conflict. Even those who end, somebody goes to the toilet, passes by you, steps on you, you end up with a conflict. What cases are not that Makerere University or colleges, when we became colleges, the system was not put in. When it comes at college level, it has been handled at the department level. Sexual know who do the sexual harassment, but they keep quiet. But because for me, I believe it be resolved. Not that management is strict. No, these things, colleges strengthened can resolve these things. Bring all the rest of all cases. I know them. I can even tell you that you have a case. Some of them, they don't need to be in court. Discussion, have a finish. Some of these things are save money that we pay. But let me tell you, are they published? No. Why? That you are going with your own employee in court. Morale of the others. Therefore, when Makerere wins, we keep their bank idea. They shouldn't. They should say a reconciliatory. They are sending away somebody. One is no longer news because there are just too many. Professor, you are here. You are like you are gagged. It's because of COVID. It's not learning. You know, some of you have not been teaching. We need to put our university back. What they decided, this decided that. What has Makerere done? Working. I commend Professor Umar Kakum, Professor Muyenda and others who came together to wait for what's need, and we are looking at talking of going and teaching in freedom school. From the studies we have done, if you men in the US and other countries, how strict SOPs, okay? So we want these things. Everybody wearing a mask. Some of you believe my team led by Dr. Chirenga, struggling with them. I'm here in public health. Have a laptop. Some people don't have projects. Has been distributing computers both by SIDA. That's we get laptops. Professor Muyenda is working with his team. Professor Yana is helping us to bring the close. Why can Makerere help? We must help because it is our duty to carry out this. I'll go to the next one. Students in development. Let me tell you, I think even if I stop on this one, no, I'll talk about Piato later. Students, when you go to other universities, what guides you to come to put employment, admission process, what from looking at this should be part of this. And when you come here, we have given them a student canteen and other projects. We need to develop and have student loans, not government this, please. Because I think this is very important. The students is very important more than the next session.
So we go to the next session.
Can I finish the students? Please?
No.
Okay. Students, you can come and we discuss. And now, how about Pietro?
No.
Okay. How about the PhD?
No. Professor Bazeo, for now, kindly take your seat so that we go into...
When I come back, I may start there.
No. Yes. We are pleased to inform you... 3 questions. Okay. Only. We are pleased to inform you that we are also joined by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs, Dr. Umal Kakumba. You're welcome. Yes, I've been guided members by the Senate Search Committee, the committee responsible for the public presentations. You will recall in the fairness, I remember we had around 15 questions from here, but we took only 5. And also had the number of questions from the other side, we took 5. Now from the online participant, the search committee has requested me, because the next candidate should be coming in, has requested me to take on only 3 questions from the 25 questions that have come in via PRO at admin and also via the chat on Zoom. So I'll take 1 question from PRO at admin.mark.sc.uk. Musana, to you, Professor William Bazeo, what is it? Sorry. To you, Professor Bazeo, what are your recommendations for the resolutions of the common court cases involving Makerere University, which in most cases lead to financial losses by the university? That research-led university, what's your comment we have at the departments and schools? What is your proposed number of communication staff and at the departments and schools where academic...
UCT, we say we have 31,000 students. How many students do they have? They have more than 80,000 students. But most of them are in their virtual campuses. And they are training and they are graduating. We need to catch up with them and go beyond. I said some universities are going to close. Can we train those people who had qualified to go there and campuses of Makerere, and we train these people? It will be African. There are universities in Egypt that I have visited, where when you talk about people, university, science-led, we are saying science-led, research-led, they are here. The government stopped funding them. Ian Sham uses money they get, lots of money. We have Kabanyoro here. We can partner with the government and we become the basket for all these markets. He has a grants unit that I talked about. It collects money, more money than the budget, and 60 billion. Is that enough? No. The money we get in for research is much, much more money than the government gives us. How can we get more money? Look at these banks that come here. Some of them, we have more money than them. And the government would respect us, put our money there. We have our loans there because we know when you take a loan, it is coming from your salary. And we will make money. These universities have banks. Makerere University can only report you to put an ATM. No, we must, in the 100 years, next century, do better. Raise resources to fund people. Lastly, how many students do we have? Only. Why? We have not marketed our university. We need to market our university using the methods that I told you. Our students, our alumni, those who go, professors, Dr. Sembate here, went to MIT, brought these people for the ventilator. We are here. Where would we be if he didn't market Makerere in MIT? Ladies and gentlemen, we need to get out from our comfort zone and go and market our university, rather than going in the papers to actually blame ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor William Bazeyo. Masiche Namain Hall to your next destination. Mr. Academic Registrar will not have any break. Kindly come back with the next candidate. Once again, members, we will not have any break, but ensure that you continue observing the social distancing rules. Ensure that your cellular phones are in the silent mode. In just 5 minutes, the next candidate will be entering the main hall. May I request the technical team to ensure that you're welcome, Associate Professor Alan Mulengani Katwalo. Kindly sanitize. My special appeal to the audience, please welcome candidates vying for the position of Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Administration, Makerere University. One special appeal to the audience, please take your seats The session is being recorded. We have an audio recording, but we also have recordings options. Please also ensure that you observe the social distancing and wear your masks. Please ensure that your mask is covering your nose and mouth. And let all our mobile phones be in the silent mode. Yes, Associate Professor Alan Mulengani Katwalo, we welcome you to the public presentation. In the interest of time, before you, we have the the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic Affairs. We have the chairperson and members of the Senate Search Committee, together with the Secretariat. In the audience, in the main hall, we have members of Makerere University Council, members of the University Senate. We have principals for the respective colleges, members of Makerere University Senate. We have the chaplains and the university imam. We have members of management. We have academic staff represented. We have administrative staff represented. We have support staff represented. We also have the media. I've said that, but at least you know who you're addressing. For this session, we have 150 participants on Zoom who are following this session. Yes, before I read, my name is Rita Namisango. I'm the moderator for this session. Before we really invite you to take on the 30 minutes presentation, I'm going to humbly request you, Associate Professor Alan Mulengani Katwalo, microphone, and kindly use, no, it was a sanitizer, yes. And you have 5 minutes before we start the presentation to inform the audience and also the online participants, in 5 minutes. Then after the 5 minutes, I'll guide you.
Vice Chancellor and your team, ladies and gentlemen, Associate Professor Alan Mulengani Katwalo is an Associate Professor of Strategic Management and currently the Dean of the School of Business. He's a married man with 4 children and a keen believer in competitiveness and development both at farm as well as national level.
Thank you very much. I'm going to request you to remain where you are. 30 minutes presentation, that's your public presentation. And with us, the gentleman who ushered you in is the Makerere University Academic Registrar, Mr. Alfred Masiche-Namoa. During your 30 minutes presentation, Mr. Alfred Masiche-Namoa will alert you when you have 10 minutes left. You will also have another alert when you have 5 minutes left. Thereafter, we will have a question and answer session. We'll also still guide you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Kindly start your presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll not waste a lot of time. Very, very quickly, this is what I intend to cover over the course of 30 minutes. I would like to start very, very quickly with what the role, or my understanding of what the role is. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, very, very quickly, I would like to start with the role and my understanding of the role of Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Administration from the brief that were given of his or her functions in that regard and be responsible. And so in my mind, it is very clear that this core business and therefore I see it as an enabler for the university's business. What is my motivation? Very, very clearly, in a few words, first and foremost, is that the university is a big brand across the globe. And that for me is very, very critical because I believe I have a global worldview and this would be a perfect match for the university. I bring with me experience that is in Europe and other parts of Africa, and having associated with universities across the globe. Secondly, I believe that the university has got a big mandate, an important mandate, to bring to bear influence and expertise for business and management training and so on. And I believe once again that with my experience that itself regarding industry and business engagement, and yes, once again, I believe that in that area, I would be very well suited to support. It has a great history, a great name, and a great future. And obviously for me, having been away from home for a long time, this would be a great homecoming and a fresh new pair of hands to support the university in its great endeavor and mandate. So, ladies and gentlemen, that would be my motivation. I believe that I bring at least 6 key leadership capabilities, okay? Number 1, stakeholder engagement. I have a track record, but also in the private sector and the public sector, and engaging the stakeholders in different endeavor. And I believe that this, for me, would be a major skill set that I would bring on board. Secondly, and I think for this role, is the issue of problem solving. I have a philosophy of conflict resolution, and skill for leadership would be very vital in the success of this role. Thirdly, as I've told you earlier, strategic management, we've done this over a long period of time for private sector organizations, for the public sector, is the table. Clear skill set that the university definitely needs in terms of development and execution of its strategy. Number 4 is a question of policy advocacy. I believe that part of the role of the university that the university should be doing is to engage in policy advocacy, to be in the lead in terms of not only shaping, but of the economy generally. And so I bring demonstrable experience in policy advocacy, and I believe that the university will benefit greatly in this area. Number 5, you read about teamwork, and I've got great experience in terms of teamwork and building collegiality. That I believe are very vital. So that will be another set of leadership skills and capabilities that I'll bring on board. And finally, the question of resource mobilization. Although for me, I really like to add the question of management. Well, they look, but I'm managing them poorly, then it doesn't matter how much money you collect. And so I'm a believer in both resource mobilization, but also management, good management of those resources. To look at that I've been asked to address. The measures that we need to think about, and I'm looking at this primarily from that we're calling challenges or issues, are actually symptoms, if you think about it. And so the idea for me is, where are these symptoms and what do they mean? Conflict, industrial action, empathy, salaries and staff remuneration challenges, term review, which is very operational. And so we could identify specific action that, so that I'm saying that if we take that, it would be a very short-term view. Sorry, the thing is running too fast because I gave myself a very short time. The other view, however, is the long-term policy and strategy view, and try and what the real problems are, so that if we deal with the real problems, these other symptoms will definitely go away. Let's look at some examples. If we took the operational level actions that can be undertaken quickly, okay? So for example, quickly resolving current litigation and any pending industrial action. It's very easy to go into quick negotiations or betray, something like that. And litigation, does that take away the conflict and so on? I doubt. Obligations, okay? For whatever we do. We could do that, so maybe this academic year, we deal with that very, very quickly. But does that take away the underlying cause? It doesn't. In my view, therefore, we need to look at the more strategic route. And the more strategic route, okay, and so for me, the question would then be, how do we expedite for those policies to come on board? But remember what I said, beyond the policy, you need a strategy for implementation, okay? Let's take an example, a policy on resource mobilization, okay? Does that mean that you're going to mobilize your resources well? No, because, an example, some people might think that the best way to go with resource mobilization, or if you like, working with alumni, is a lot of alumni or College of Law, okay? There may be alumni who would prefer to work with College of Law, getting our alumni to work with us in building the university. So all these really talk about the challenges that we are facing are structural, okay? The issue then is, how do we deal with these structural issues? If we look at Makerere University, is it Enterprise? I was looking, and if you read the report of the Auditor General, a lot of what we want now, and to deal with the reality on the ground. Okay? So again, that would be thirdly, builds an environment and atmosphere on university conflict resolution that will free, if you like, the energies, the creative energies of the people at the university. The other issue that I have read about a lot and so on, again later, but to non-performance related, okay? So again, as we shall see later, a lot of what goes on in terms of compensation, people get compensated basically, for example, in terms of seniority, okay? And so for me, I believe that one of the things to look at is how the question of compensation is comprehensively dealt with, so that we bring on board criteria. We then need to look at standards and policies, and we've already said that the question of standards has been a key problem or challenge. How do we build a robust culture of adhering to professional standards and policies? If you look at your own department, how many people, for example, are actually using private emails to conduct official business? It's a very simple question, isn't it? And so I think that that would be acting and retaining the question of leadership, management and support of leadership and development. And finally, the question of the organization being smart, doing what needs to be done. My fourth proposal of developing, training, and supporting management at all levels. I am a firm believer that management, if you need a good dentist, okay, they have to be trained, even in management. Okay, it's easy, and again, talking to accomplished people in their fields, you do get this tag of, okay, and they're in leadership. Do they need to develop anything extra beyond what they are experts at? Is what I'm calling the role-specific coaching and training. Okay, I believe every leader, every manager, every supervisor at every level would need at that level. And this is very important because we do this a lot in the private sector. At the individual level, there's what we, okay, at the individual level. So are our people supported and mentored at that level? Okay, so you would have at the personal level, personal development plan embedded that, okay, and how that then reflects on the personal journey, professional journey and personal journey that the individual has over the years. At the role specific, we talk about leadership, management, competencies, capabilities, and then with proposal at the strategic level is to review the remuneration and the performance management strategy. Remember I said I am aware that the university already has policy on performance management. But what is the strategy? How is that actually being executed? How is of job analysis and review? Does it match what their job description is saying? Because you may find people with the job description saying one thing, but they're doing so many other things. Okay, and so we then talk about, okay, what are the current performance standards? I mean, if you read about late or non-dismal, okay, so what are the standards that we're keeping to, and how are those reflected in our review of performance, and how is that then reflected in determining the appropriate reward system? So if you ask me, this would be a major program to undertake, okay, if you gave me the opportunity to do this job. What are the pay decisions based on? We're looking at performance levels as well as rank, tenure, as being married to be able to tell us what somebody should earn. And so that then reduces the tensions that you're having, much money and this group doesn't have any, and so on and so forth, okay? Because you've dealt and not superficially. Finance, because I've heard people talk about fundraising and resource mobilization, very clearly important. But however managing that, that is a fact. And you don't have to agree with me because it's a fact, okay? If is to fundamentally look at what is ailing our financial management at the moment. What is the financial management strategy? Now, the other question we're asked to deal with is potential avenues for positioning the university. And here I'm basically looking at the national agenda. The national agenda can be linked to Africa's Development Agenda 2060, Uganda's Vision 2040, and then if you look at the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act 2001, and also begin to give you a picture of what Uganda is aspiring to. I've also added the National Local Content Bill, for example, what it's saying and how would Makerere position itself. Remember, I say to you that the Office of Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Administration, is an office to enable the core function of the university. Once you get that wrong, everything else is going to go to the wind. So maintain relevance. I don't know the technicians, these things that keep blocking my screen. I believe that to maintain the relevance in the national agenda, finance and administration must focus on these four. Number one, to work towards improved efficiency of service delivery to our core business for increased productivity and better client stakeholder satisfaction. Number two, to comply with all relevant statutes and national agenda. Number three, to strengthen support infrastructure for university core business, that is the teaching, learning, research, and so on and so forth. Okay? And finally, to build and enhance the organizational environment and culture. Once the DVC, Finance and Administration, does that, that frees the team of the DVC and other managers to focus on the core of the university. So, ladies and gentlemen, going now to my final leg, looking at a business plan, what else do I bring? I looked at your new strategic plan, and what I have here really, Makerere University is a thought leader of knowledge and so on and so forth. Very good ideas. The key goes down here about research, about teaching and learning, about partnerships, about governance are good goals, okay? What are the values that this new strategic plan is talking about? Inclusivity, integrity. The challenge though is it's not everybody is accountable. Is it clear? Of course, the strategic plan is not very clear about that, because I believe this too should be translated into the question of organization. Okay? Then there must be a mechanism for both reward and what? And penalization. Okay? So, and actually, of the Auditor General is very clear. The strategic plan, and I've picked two key critical elements. An absence of a financial strategy. Every good strategic plan must have a financial strategy that essentially clearly defines how the money is. You have a rough idea where the money is going to come from and how much is going to come in. But also, the absence of a clear investment strategy. Okay? Okay, thank you. We know, for example, that it's like teaching for students and so on. But what proportions of your expenditure is going to go so that whoever then builds the business plan has some idea what to work with? Okay, so this is my view of what we would need to do over the next 3 years. And again, this is not comprehensive enough because I've not had the means and processes. If you look at the short 3 months period, some of the things like reviewing annual work plans and budgets to address, for example, or contact proceeding as expected. Looking at the status of this mobilization, are we dependent on individuals or are we dependent on structures and systems for resource mobilization? What happens when the individual walks away? Or God forbid, okay? My area of focus. What is working, what is not, okay? And then, before I finish very quickly, the medium term, to then tie into the short term and the long term, that is the 3-year period. What would some of the objectives be that answer to the goals in the strategic plans? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
So the next question and answer. I'm going to request you to take your seats. We will have questions that will come. Just hold it. We'll have questions coming in from the audience here in the main hall, but we have also already received the questions coming in from email. The official email requested people to send questions towards pro@admin.mac.sa. Okay. And then we also have questions that will be coming through from the participants on Zoom. So what is going to happen? Let us have 5 questions from this side. And also we'll have 5 questions from this side. The ushering team, please. Marion, proceed, get the microphone. Let me, please raise your hand so that we are. There is a hand here. Name and 1 question.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Alan Mlengani. It was very interesting and very illuminating. I'm Sarah Sally, and my question is, you've highlighted a number of things from where things are not working very well, from the Auditor General's report and all those, and so many proposals. I think there were 6. What will your first 100 days look like?
Any hands from this side? We have 1 question so far from this side. Please, let's go to the other.
Thank you very much, Professor Alan Mlengani Katwalu. Josephine Aishire, Principal College. Thank you for a very illuminating expose on strategic management. I think we need more of this. I would like, however, to ask about relating to the higher education sector in Uganda. What 3 things do you think are able to move our universities forward in terms of finance and administration, which is the docket of this post that you're seeking, within the current politics and funding in Uganda? Thank you.
Thank you so much, the presenter. My name is Moez Alex. I'm a historian by profession. Thank you so much, Professor Mulengani, for your presentation. But I have one simple question to you. Can you enlighten on how strategic would you be on having a work plan geared towards research, a work plan on capacity building, and you know how the university should be run even in other circumstances without conflicts here and there of interests. Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. Now, Professor, we have questions that are coming through the online audience, and I'll read them. The first question is coming in from Dr. Pademusana. Makerere, the question is, what is your recommendation through which it loses the best of its investment to the new higher institutions? What is your recommendation on Makerere University's retirement policy through which it loses the best of its investment to the new higher education institutions? Another question is from the question is, what is Makerere University's preparedness for online teaching / learning in terms of capacity and infrastructure? For online teaching / learning in terms of capacity and infrastructure for students. Another question from Professor Damadina Kanjako. Professor Damadina Kanjako, in a research university, thank you. The question is from Professor Damarina Kanjako. In a research-led university, what is your comment on the training levels / grades? The question is from Professor Damarina Kanjako. What is your comment on the training levels / grades and number of administrative staff, departments and schools that administer academic activities? And that's enough. Okay, there were two more. I've been guided. Kindly take on those questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator. I'll start with the first question, Madam Sally. What would my first 100 days look like? I think first and foremost for any person that is coming into an office is the first quarter of the 100 days would be family members of the team to get to know what the institution looks like and to get to understand what makes Makerere tick at this point in time. But once that quarter has been done, I think there is, okay? And so I believe that the second quarter would be a quarter of looking at the actual work. Okay, I've already given you highlights of my thoughts in terms of the business plans for the first 3 months, for example. Looking at what plans with and interact, trying to understand what are their challenges, how would they want really be that kind of effort. In the last quarter of the 100 days would be actually getting down to deliver. The second is in relating to higher education sector. That was by the principle of, I think, College of Humanities, relating to the higher education sector. The question was to do with, I started asking a simple question the Makerere have, that this university has, which is not being leveraged for the advantage of this university. Let's take knowledge, for example. Other universities are selling their knowledge. How much are you that you're generating? So what else you have? I believe that you have a lot of buildings and things like those. How are you using those? How are those actually helping you to give you money to that way? Those would be a good starting points. But beyond that, you have to begin thinking about what makes Makerere stand out. And therefore, what are the things that are going to enable Makerere, that should or ought to enable Makerere to excel beyond what it is right now? Because it's excelling fine. But what would push Makerere above the current bar? And for me, I'm thinking about the value that Makerere is bringing to the real economy. I did some study several months ago about the sugar, and I wrote an article in the New Vision, okay, those who are privileged to have read it. And I put forward many of those suggestions have been taken up by the government. But I'm thinking to myself, do you know that even some of the sanitizer we're using now comes from sugarcane? Wouldn't it have been very interesting had Makerere been the pioneer in this area? And so I'm suggesting to you that there's so much that we already have on the ground which is not being properly leveraged. The third question, I think, was from Mr. Alex. I've already said to you that if given the opportunity to serve, this is an area to address some of the challenges that we are talking about. If we are saying we're a research-led university, okay, what's the kind of training for researchers? Okay, what's the kind of training or capacity building do we have for researchers? And again, developing work plans shouldn't be very difficult. This is a question of engaging the different stakeholders to see what do we have on the ground, what do we need, what's the gap, okay, in between what we have and what we need, and how do we then fill that gap? A lot of that work will be, in terms of capacity building, will be done internally. We have accomplished professors in this place, okay, who should be able to bring their weight to bear, for example, in terms of training the next generation of researchers, okay, and so on. Now, the other one was from was about recommendations on the retirement policy. I have not read the retirement policy, although I've looked at where it is, but I've not read the policy. So it would be a lie for me to attempt to give a concrete answer at this stage. However, what I can say is what I have seen in other places in Europe, and professors are held onto, especially prominent professors who have got value that they are bringing. Okay, and so there must be a policy. There must be a strategy of how do we retain the best brains once they reach retirement. Okay, you just kick the fellow out. I don't know, but how do you retain this set of competencies? And I believe in some universities, I've seen this work, you have readers, okay, at the university who are given offices and administrative support, not a salary. And they are able to contribute to the university for another 10 years or until perhaps they drop off. Okay. So again, in terms of retirement, it is a conversation that we would need to have to say, what else do we bring in terms of value to the table to help us to retain the best brains that we have? I think it's teaching, capacity, infrastructure, and so on for students and staff. I don't know how well prepared the capacity. Okay, and I like I said to you, I believe in action. I don't think the university should wait until they have everything on the table. I think the university has to start and keep marching, grow as they execute, grow as they implement, and learn from the mistakes and become better. And finally is the question from Professor Nakanjako on grades and admin staff. A lot of research actually is supported by a lot of administration. Okay, and if you want the administrative, and so this is something that again you need to think about. Although in my view and in my experience, the best research administrative backbone tends to be research assistants. Okay, if you have a structure that helps individual researchers to recruit research assistants who then become the administrators, it becomes very easy to roll out a lot of things at a fairly affordable cost. So I didn't quite understand the question of grades or levels, but yes, a lot of us, when we started out at university, we started very low, at the lowest grade, and if you accept some of these things. Thank you.
Another session, we have around 10 questions still from the online participants, but I have been guided that we take on 4 more questions. Three. Okay, 3 questions. We have a question coming in from Ms. Zainab Kobuyonjo. Zainab Kobuyonjo, the question is, please explain your strategy of improving the use of institutional email address, Another question, the question, the volume of financial resources that you have mobilized / attracted. The question is from Lazarus Navajo. Please share you have mobilized / attracted. There is also a question from Godwin O'Clore, Makerere University College of Health Sciences. The question is, it's wordy, but I'll read it the way it is. Tell us 3 you have to resolve conflict of interest, salary disparities, wrong salary scales, and high egos. I stop at that, okay. No, that have been found to be among the many causes of staff conflict and running to court for justice, equity. Tell us 3 concrete plans you have to resolve conflict of interest, among the many causes of staff running to court in pursuit for justice, equity, and transparency.
Please explain strategy that you'll use for institutional email address. I think that's the simplest thing, okay? You require that all official business be conducted on official email. And you institute penalties for not doing so. I think that's actually easy to follow as an instruction, okay? The strategy is simply, number 1, you inform, and instruct and advise people to do so. Beyond that, if it's going to be that emails, for example, that are not official, are not acknowledged, whose business are you conducting? Okay, Juan Navajo, please share with us the volume of financial resources. Gosh, I've been very privileged to be individually and part of teams because a lot of this resource mobilization, I've come to understand, is not individual. And I don't want to stand here and lie to you that I have, a lot of this is teamwork. Serious research is teamwork. I cannot remember a single proposal that I wrote singularly without a team of 2 or 3 other academicians with me or support staff, okay? I have led a few, and the volume for different projects, I think the biggest research project that we did that I attracted funding for was about $115,000. I think the other one was in Japanese yen, about 200,000 Japanese yen or something like that. But over the years, cumulatively, is quite a good figure. And like I said, most to resolve conflict of interest, salary disparity, wrong salary scales. I say to you that one of the things I believe I would do if given the opportunity as Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Administration, is to provide a framework where we look at what is working from a policy point of view and what is not working. To look at a framework of strategy for every single element of administration at the university. And the idea for me is to be able to, some of these are fairly easy. My mother, before she passed on, used to tell me one thing, that the devil loves dark places, where there is no transparency. So for me, concreteness starts first and foremost in being open in the conversations that you have to bring about the changes that you need. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Mulengani Katwalo, for that presentation. We'll lead you out of the main hall to your next destination. We wish you the best of luck. And I'm requesting all the Senate Search Committee members, and just for a few minutes, Associate Professor Katwalo will leave the main hall, but we kindly request the rest of the participants, the audience, to remain seated for only 10 minutes so that we wrap up the session. Yes, thank you very much for being a very lively audience. Would like to conclude this session just in 7 minutes from now, and allow me to invite the chairperson, Senate Search Committee, to give a wrap up just in 5 minutes, and it will be, then we will raise after her address, we'll rise for the anthems, and we will call.
Thank you very much. What a big day. Yeah, we did present 3 candidates, and I would like to really thank them in absentia for the presentations they have given us. There is always something to learn from each presentation, even if some don't qualify to take the job because the position is for only one person, but we hope the ideas can be really taken up by most of us who are seated in this audience. So I thank them in absentia for making the excellent presentations for the University of Makerere. I would also like to really thank the audience who have been so active, in supporting and giving all our speech, very many questions, which are really relevant and very important for that position and for Makerere University. So thank you very much, the audience, including those who are on Zoom, for bringing very many questions. Unfortunately, because of time constraints, some of them we have not responded. They have not responded to them, but we hope they are being kept as a record. And some of them will be useful for consideration by management or even us who are seated here. So thank you very much, all the teams. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is the last step in the search process. We are going to prepare the report, and we are scheduled to present it on 14th for considerations. So thank you once again, the search committee, the team members. Please, thank you very much for the job well done up to now. There's more work in writing the report, the secretariat and management. Thank you very much. For us, we have come to an end. This is the end of the different steps. And we meet in Senate, those who've been Senate, when we present our report to senators to make further decisions to council. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, Senate Search Committee. Let us all rise for the anthems.
The Makerere.
The East African Community Anthem.